Hello and welcome back to GP Prague. You're in the booth with Riley Knight and alongside him, the Pro Tour champion Szymon Gertz. And the format is Legacy, the location is Prague, and the excitement levels are high, Szymon, as we get underway with round number 14, 2 to go in the Swiss.
With two lesser-known locals facing off against each other.
Yeah, these guys might have sort of flown under the radar for a long time. Martin Juza only has, I think, he's a local, a hometown hero. He's top 8 at a few GPs, 23, I think, so 24.
Insane. I don't know. It's too many to count.
And Blohon as well. He's fighting very hard here. Looks like he's playing Shardless Sultai by the look of things here with his Him to Turak.
And Matej Zadelkai, our coverage friend, was just tweeting about Lukas Blohon's play having impressed him quite a bit this weekend.
So Martin Juza, a guy we've seen, all ends of the spectrum, haven't we? We saw him be absolutely crushed in a game where he took 19 damage off his own Dark Confidence, and then we saw him doing the crushing in a later round. But right now, these guys are basically fighting for top 8 here with this.
Yeah, at least they are fighting to keep the dream alive. Yes, this is the penultimate round of a European GP, and usually you are forced to also play round 15 to keep the extra record.
Mm-hmm. So Blohon and Juza here, as you can see, these one of the decks, the one on the left-hand side of your screen, certainly a huge player in this format. Shardless Sultai, Shardless Bug, as it's sometimes known, is one of the top decks in the format. But I've been surprised by the resurgence of this 4-color loam list. You know, I expect maniacs like Moraine Leibert to turn up with it, but when it's in the hands of Martin Juza, you know it's the real deal.
And yesterday was I don't want to say it was the day of Life from the Loam, but we saw a lot of it, and we saw it do potent things, like not only the card but the whole deck.
I think really it falls on the non-blue decks to find very powerful engines, given they don't have the fetch land Brainstorm combo, given that they don't have the Force of Will pressure valve. And Life from the Loam certainly fills that bill.
Yes, also the lands just being very, very powerful in Legacy.
Yeah, we see stuff like Grover the Burn Willows, Punishing Fire. We see stuff like Life from the Loam and Tranquil Thicket. And right now we're seeing stuff like Dark Confident being countered by Force Pitching Force. Lukas Blohon has in his hand a Shardless Agent. I think that's an immediate deploy here.
He has a Brainstorm as well, so he could check out if he maybe finds an Ancestral Vision to get the most value out of it.
Okay. He opts to go for the Brainstorm. Works a couple of cards back on top. I saw an Abrupt Decay amongst them. Abrupt Decay, Verdant Catacombs.
Yeah,
so
what he can't do here, because he's putting back good cards, he can't really play the Shardless Agent this turn because he would have had to shuffle.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll just see a Baleful Strix.
I think a Baleful Strix a very defensible turn here. Going to draw the land next turn and see where we go from there. But I like the Abrupt Decay on top. In addition to the Verdant Catacombs, it means that we can guarantee after the Abrupt Decay, after the Shardless Agent, it means we can guarantee the Abrupt Decay. Alternatively, shuffle it away with the Verdant Catacombs here.
Also, making sure that the mana is absolutely fine, even if there is some kind of wastelanding going on.
Yeah.
For example, to ensure the double black of Liliana.
Now that land at the top there, it looks like a Savannah to me. Just checking through the lists here that we've been submitted, the judge has been working very hard to keep the coverage team supplied with these lists, and I don't see a Savannah there.
I don't think it can be a Savannah.
I know that the white splash, especially from the board for Shardless Sultai, is pretty popular these days, but doesn't seem to be so with Lukas Blohon today.
No, from looking at his list, he's only playing Underground Sea, Tropical Island, and Bayou.
Baleful Strix coming in. And the Knight of the Reliquary immediately eating it to Liliana here, as Lukas Blohon plays pretty carefully, pretty conservatively, and pretty safely. And I think he's doing well to do so. Lukas Blohon now, he'll draw a card. Double Verdant Catacombs for him here. And it's going to be Abrupt Decay. So really keeping the board nice and clear here is Blohon. Up we go. And Juza hellbent against a little bit of pressure here.
Yeah, he I don't think it was the him to Tarek, because discarding Galactic and Grove of the Burnwillows was not the big issue, but somehow his deck after Dark Confident getting forced, definitely a good play by Blohon, failed to deliver much.
Dryad Arbor now attacking Liliana down to 1. Dryad Arbor, one of those cards that is touted as being very, very good against Liliana of the Veil.
Yes, in this matchup, Blohon has creatures of his own, so it's not that clear.
And a Wasteland on the Underground Sea. It's going to finish things off for Juza. Blohon now with the second Baleful Strix.
Which confirms that it's a value, the topmost land. It generates green and black mana.
In for another one, and it's back to Juza now. No activation of Liliana, as we saw just now. Blohon getting up. Maybe he's got a quick question for the judges here. Interesting to see the way that this game is poised. I mean, we say Martin Juza is empty-handed, but there are so many ways for him to use his graveyard as a resource, especially in the main deck before any graveyard hate comes in. Stuff like Life from the Loam, Punishing Fire, all these cards are pretty good in the face of an active Liliana.
Yes, let's at the same time keep in mind that basically all the Sultai decks have main deck graveyard hate in Deathrite Shaman. So there is sometimes this dance between who gets to activate which resource first. In this case, and there's no Deathrite Shaman to be seen, so we would have Loam or Punishing Fire on full power. Although that's not quite true, because the Grove of the Burnwillows is in the graveyard.
So it seems to be some kind of confusion once again about that land.
Okay, I mean, I did see that it was tapped for green and for black. So
yeah, I think we're sort of having a talk about some of these spells that were cast here, and Martin Juza offering his perspective on how things turned out. He'll be chasing that 20-something GP top 8 with hunger in his eyes, I imagine. Blohon, a very calm and calculated player. So these two...
Blohon is one of the quietest guys I know.
Yeah.
He is not a man of many words.
Yeah, he lets the cards do the talking.
Unfortunately, we can't really say what's going on here.
No, we're not we don't have any information as to what this judge call is about. I think our scouts are right now scurrying around trying to find it. Neil Rigby, Rich Hagen, and Stephen Leeming doing their best down in the feature match area. Once we get more information, we'll certainly pass it on to you. But just to recap so far, if you've just joined us, this game between Shardless Sultai and 4-color Loam certainly going in the favour of Lukas Blohon, who's just had value creatures and a Liliana of the Veil, a lot of efficient removal in Abrupt Decay, and of course the Edict effect from Liliana. While this one gets resolved, we're going to move over to our other match here, Zimon. As this game is just... okay, so this game's coming to an end here.
Okay, no, Riley. This game is being fixed by the judge right now. And unfortunately, we can't switch to another table because they are currently shuffling.
They've finished, I see.
So we'll try to...
Zimon, what would I do without you, mate?
I'm the analyst, so
that's you analyze the words that we're hearing in the ears. So here you go. So while this gets sorted out, we're going to have a chat about perhaps the sideboard options here, regardless of the way this game turns out. Of course, we will end up with some kind of reconfiguration of these decks. Let's have a look at what's going on with Lukas Blohon. 1 Vendilion Click, 1 Toxic Deluge, a Life from the Lone Disfigure, Umezawa's Jitte, Baleful Strix, Duress, Sylvan Library, and a Jace, all the one-offs, so many one-offs, and a couple of two-offs as well. Golgari, Charm, Flusterstorm, Diabolic Edict. Not a card that we see a lot of in Legacy, but something you're pretty happy to see in 75.
I just like the fact that something as simple as target player sacrifices a creature is still a constructed, not staple, but it has the option to be a good constructed
Look,
card.
I think it's a great choice. We have seen Sneak and Show putting huge monsters into play, and that's a nice, clean answer for them.
Yes, and instant speed is still relevant. Getting around protection or hexproof or shroud or protection from all colored spells.
Yeah, a lot of utility. I mean, against Infect, it's going to be good. Against sort of some of the tempo decks that are trying to ride out. Maybe not against Young Pyromancer, but against certainly something like a Delver of Secrets.
And not too many tokens being generated in Legacy. Also, not too many decks like Elves that really have too many creatures.
No, that's right. And you just leave it in the board for those ones. But
what
are
we
looking at for? Sorry, mate. What are we looking at for Juza?
He has pretty much a Silver Bullet sideboard, so he has some extra lands to bring in, Bojuka Bog, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, and he wants to make this a little more reliable by bringing in a second crop rotation. I believe he has one in the main deck, or I don't find it right now, but this is generally the approach that these decks take.
Yeah, it gives them more of a sort of a combo finish aspect here for these lands decks.
There is a Chandra Flamecaller in the sideboard. Please don't ask me what the plan is there.
Oh, well, it's a GP winning card, Zimon. Raphael Levy-Taker were using it to great effect recently.
And then we have some anti-combo cards. Either one's Canonist, Artifact Removal in Reclamation Sage, Anti-Creature Package in Swords to Plowshares, 2 Thoughtseize, and to round it up, a Garruk Relentless and a Golgari Charm.
We've talked about Garruk Relentless being very good against the decks that are looking to clear the board, clear the way with Abrupt Decay. Right now, these two players getting ready to continue with the match, talking about exactly what position they were in and what was going on there. You see a Bayou there, replacing the one that was disputed as a Maelstrom Pulse comes off the top of Blohon.
I have to say, it didn't look at all like a Bayou.
No.
I prefer it this way. And now we're back to a position where Blohon is dictating what's happening in the game, and Juza is playing along.
I think that's a good way of putting it, really. Blohon in the driver's seat here. He's got the Liliana. He's got the bit of pressure in the air. And now he's got a Shardless Agent. So we'll see what gets hit here. It's going to be a Deathrite Shaman. So there is the final piece of the puzzle, really, in curtailing anything Juza wants to do in the graveyard.
Yes. If Juza draws a Punishing Fire, he can kill the Shaman. But a Punishing Fire alone is not what Juza is looking for. He kind of needs to start with a Life from the Dome, getting back the Grove, and then top tick himself, or actually dredge himself, draw himself into Punishing Fire. If that's Tranquil Grove, the onslaught cycling land in his graveyard.
We've got a Tranquil Thicket hiding in
Tranquil Thicket.
Yeah, fourth from the top there. Players not allowed to reorder their graveyards in Legacy.
A very important
things
rule.
like Shallow Grave and that sort of stuff happening.
Not many of them being actually played.
No. Well, Tin Fins plays as I said, the Shallow Grave. I think that's the only one I can think of.
Nether Shadow, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's Manaless Dredge, which plays this.
And there's some other stuff like Death Spark as well. Here's a Bob off the top. How about that one? Martin Juza playing the Dark Confidant with, I would imagine, be very happy with that.
And Martin knew if he doesn't draw a spell here, things would get ugly really quickly.
We're going to see now a Maelstrom Pulse to take care of that Dark Confidant. Yeah, Blohon really not in any doubt in his mind as to what he wants to do here. Keep the board clear, keep smashing. And it's Abrupt Decay on the Deathrite Shaman, so Juza identifying that as the main impediment to his victory.
Yes, but at the same time, Martin is not drawing the spells, or hasn't drawn the spells he needs to really make an impact in this game. 2
more life lost for Juza thanks to the Deathrite. And now in they come again for 4.
Juza dealt with a lot of the cards, but it's not really too relevant here. Blohon very quick here. Yeah. Showing off the onboard kill.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was going on there. Get rid of the Dryad Arbor with the Wasteland, and that is all she wrote now for Juza in game number 1. Blohon will be happy to have picked up the first game. He's got his work cut out for him, as does Martin Juza. Both of these guys, as we say, fighting to stay in the tournament, or sorry, not in the tournament, certainly in the top 8. Both of them will be digging deep. We've already had a look at their sideboards. Some of the cards that I think are going to be included, certainly for Juza here. He's got some real options.
Yes, and I always wonder. We a lot of things we haven't really seen this weekend. I don't remember seeing a Caracas activation. Like maybe one, but it's not really the tournament for Caracas here. But that's just an aside. It's going to be interesting to see how these players approach the matchup.
We move over now to our backup match between Valentin Mackl, the Austrian, and Sveinung Bjornerud. We saw Bjornerud play in the last round on the turbo match, Zimon. You and I were fortunate enough to call that one.
He's also on Chartless Sultai.
Yes, that's right. And Mackl on the Eldrazi, the deck that has been putting numbers up into the top 100, but not necessarily converting that success.
No, I would assume that Mackl is probably one of the leaders in the tournament with Eldrazi. I can't believe there's too many other Eldrazi decks in contention for top 8.
So as you see, Mackl has the Hangerback Walker. That might be a sideboard card for him. We're going to have a look through the deck list and see exactly what's going on there. Hangerback Walker in the main deck, as it actually looks like he's playing a stacks version of Eldrazi, one of these very, very hateful denial-based decks.
Yes, he has Twinisphere in the main deck and 4 Smokestacks. So he's on a different plan.
Bjornerud looking to play fairer Magic here. How much does a Chalice of the Void worry the Shardless Agent plan or Shardless Bug plan when they're trying to do their thing?
It does stop Brainstorm, which keeps almost all Brainstorm decks together. So Brainstorm is so relevant for deck building that not being able to cast it can make your deck significantly worse. However, the sheer amount of 1-mana cards is actually relatively low in the Shardless.
Yeah, it's usually between sort of 8 and 10, not so many usually.
Brainstorm, Deathrite Shaman, and then
so occasionally see a Thoughtseize or something like that going on.
You can have a Spell Pierce in the deck, but that's pretty much it. Yes.
So it's not as crippling as it would be in many other matchups, but still, as you mentioned, I mean, Deathrite Shaman is a great way to buff your life total, to put some pressure on. I mean, it does everything.
And both of the cards we mentioned somehow keep the deck together because they smooth out all draws.
Ratchet Bomb off of that City of Traders, followed up by an Eldrazi Temple for Mackl. He's off to a relatively slow start here.
Mackl actually with an insanely slow draw. He had only the turn 1 Chalice. The turn 1 Chalice off of City of Traders, and that must have been the reason why he kept. But City of Traders as your first land is not where you want to be.
No, not at all. And we see Mackl punished for that now, sitting on just 1 mana or 2 if he's got an Eldrazi card to cast. See Smokestack in his hand in addition to Trinisphere. At the moment, of course, that Hangerback Walker can be pumped up. But apart from that, not a lot going on, not a lot of action on the right-hand side of your screen.
But if you're spending your turn pumping up Hangerback and your opponent has 3 available mana in Legacy and a Tarmogoyf, I don't know how much I like your chances.
No, you're going to have a bad time. We'll see what Bjornerud wants to bring to bear this turn here. I can see Life from the Loam has been brought in for him out of the board. That's a card that I think is really good for, it's sort of like the Crucible of Worlds in the blue-white red decks in Modern.
Yes, also to just wasteland your opponent out at some point in the game.
Bjornerud growing the Tarmogoyf by blowing up that artifact and then attacking.
He also has a Disfigure, which is now live thanks to Chalice of the Void having been destroyed.
So that was a good little sequence there. Mackl only reduced now to 1 single 1/1 Thopter after Bjornerud really picked his moment to use that Disfigure.
And Mackl doesn't have the land,
no
so
follow-up play.
You are holding a hand with Trinisphere and Smokestack, and you're getting outcarded on all in play and in hand.
And I'm not impressed by the mana denial plan against Shardless Sultai, especially in the face of a Life from the Loam, in the sense that if you're not fast enough with it, Shardless Sultai's their best cards cost 3.
Mackl was on the play, so I can see certain cards being relevant there, but not too impressive.
Tarmogoyf comes in again. Quick check of how many. We've got instant sorcery, creature, artifact, and a land, thanks to that City of Traders. So a huge heavy-hitting Tarmogoyf in already. And it's going to be Ratchet Bomb going up to 2.
Yeah, and that's clearly there to deal with just 1 Tarmogoyf, which makes it one of the weaker removal spells we've seen this weekend.
And I think it's going to eat an Abrupt Decay right now.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah, Bjornerud really in a commanding position after having won game 1 as well. Mackl a little unlucky, not drawing the cards he needs, as we've seen Abrupt Decay deal with that Ratchet Bomb. Just being, outplayed at every turn here, really. Unfortunately, not finding the cards he needs off the top of his deck.
Yes, also with the mana struggles, but even had he deployed his cards, it seems like they are not the right cards for the matchup. You want your Eldrazi monsters, of course, but the rest of the cards in Mackl's hand don't look to me like they really help in this matchup.
Yeah, Bjornerud's hand is really supporting him, as we see now. 2 Shardless Agents and a Toxic Deluge go to the bin. And we're going to see a Brainstorm here as well. So this one all more or less in the books here, you'd have to say, Simon Goertzen. So we can head back now to our first match, the one we checked in on, or the one that we started before this little check-in on, of course, Lukas Blohon, Martin Juza, Battle of the Titans going on table 1. So let's see how things are starting off. Baron Moore kicking things off for Martin Juza. Blohon again with this Shardless dream start of a Deathrite Shaman. I think he'd prefer to have cast it off a Wasteland. In any case, it's not going to make too much difference as a Punishing Fire takes care of the little 1-2 there. And it's back to Blohon.
So step 1 of the plan is certainly assembled for Martin. Having dealt with the Deathrite, Punishing Fire is in the graveyard, so that's both great. Baron Moore, not the land you want to start with, but you do what you have to do.
Blohon here, powering out a Sylvan Library on turn number 2. I saw Shardless Agent in hand. He also had a Baleful Strix, choosing to go with the library here.
Yeah, very redundant, the Shardless Sultan deck. Almost does the same thing every game.
Yeah, what's it trying to do, basically? It's hard to sort of sum it up in one or two.
Because it's neither proactive nor super reactive. It's just, I play all these high power cards, generating value every turn, and you have to do something to stop me from overwhelming you. And Martin has I think the more critical decisions regarding sequencing, because sure, it's a decision whether to cast Baleful Strix or Shardless Agent.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're pursuing the same goal with your cards.
Grove of the Burnwillow is a nice one for Juza here. He can rebuy that Punishing Fire at a time of his choosing. Blohon having a look at his top 3 with the Sylvan Library, or drawing them actually, technically. But I like your point. I like your point you made there. I mean, a Shardless Sultan in many cases is just here to slam jam, just push the cards into the middle and see how everything shakes out.
There is also very tricky spots. For example, when it comes to setting up cascades, when it comes to the few permission spells you have, you don't have the permission of miracles that will just win at some point, and it doesn't really matter how you play.
No.
But certain other things in Shardless Sultai, I think, especially in the early game, are relatively straightforward.
A Bayou now for Lukas Blohon.
We might see Garrick Relentless soon. Would certainly be fun.
Shardless Agent now, and we'll see what Blohon can hit. It's going to be a Tarmogoyf, so that's a nice little thing. The Shardless Agent turning up with a +1 to this particular party.
And there was really no bad hit at that point.
No,
because as long as the opponent has a permanent you can Abrupt Decay, you are always happy to cascade.
User returning the Punishing Fire, flipping a Verdant Catacomb, so avoiding the life loss from Bob there. And now he's going to cast it looks like going to cast the Punishing Fire here.
And is most likely also considering the Thoughtseize in addition to that.
Yeah, we saw the Grove of the Burnwillows get tapped there, which certainly means that he might be using his black mana on something else.
Interestingly, the Tarmogoyf is quite small. If Martin has an untapped land, can he maybe just kill the Tarmogoyf?
Well, the Tarmogoyf is now pretty huge. Goes up to a 4/5 just like that.
That's why I was wondering if this might have been the turn to deal with it. But casting Garruk here is also super dangerous against Force of Will. What happened there?
So that Tarmogoyf died from something or other. Yeah, he needs to put the Abrupt Decay in his graveyard there. I'm thinking he must have decayed it or something, some way of doing it. But yes, there we go. Everything's resolved as it should be. And the Abrupt Decay taking care of the Tarmogoyf. So Martin Juza with returning serve a little bit here and putting it the question to Blohon. What have you got, mate?
What do you have, and which of your cards don't die to the Punishing Fire you're already seeing in my graveyard?
So yeah, of course the Baleful Strixes can come down and eke a little bit of value out in terms of drawing a card, but still they're not going to replace. I mean, they replace themselves, but they're not going to do anything on this board with the Punishing Fire lot going.
And you're also trading even mana almost. You are spending your turn, and the opponent will have to use 3 mana to deal with it, but none of you are doing much, but Martin currently has the much stronger board position.
Absolutely, and the fact that he's drawing 2 cards a turn. I mean, Blohon has that option too.
No, but Blohon has already used the library once.
Yeah.
Now it's more of a
liability for him to keep doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's under a lot of pressure. And Martin Juza, we saw him rather tragically, hilariously, really, yesterday, Zimon, lose 19 life to his own Dark Confidence. But here he's sitting on 18. He's looking very happy.
There is a wasteland, so that might change things a little bit.
Tarmogoyf. That doesn't die to Punishing Fire. Dark Depths off the top here, so you were right in saying it was brought in, Zimon.
Despite playing against the wasteland deck, yes. So now instants, lands, and the Tarmogoyf that died.
Yeah, I think it's a 5/6.
Because of the Shardless Agent?
Yeah.
Being an artifact, okay.
We've got instant land, artifact, creature.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, no sorceries yet. Well, now there's going to be a sorcery. In any case, we see the Thoughtseize being cast by a user here. He can take his pick here. Blohon with the double agent, force, and double Strix, force, and wasteland.
So Martin has the Dark Depth. He knows about the wasteland, but Blohon also knows about the Dark Depth. So getting a surprise Marit-Lage is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
On the other hand, maybe trading Dark Depths for a wasteland is not something you have a problem with on this board. Martin really wants to keep the momentum going here. He needs to somehow make sure that he isn't suddenly pushed into a completely defensive posture.
No, and I think it's important to note the fact that, Martin has had the momentum. Juza has been pushing hard to keep the game in his favour, and he really needs to keep that train rolling. We see a Knight of the Reliquary. That's a nice one, including a Wasteland to follow it up as well. So that Knight is only a 4/4, excuse me. But all the same, that's good pressure.
Yes, and a very difficult decision for Martin, who decided to keep open the Wasteland rather than the Grove, which would have been able to buy back Punishing Fire. And instead, he's saying, I value my Wasteland more highly.
He can go some way in protecting his Dark Depths with his own Wasteland by wasting Blohon's Wasteland.
If he plays it, and there's this weird...
this weird little thing, but he's going to come off short with that because then Blohon, of course, just wastelands user in response. So it depends how user wants to do it here. If he wants to get on the front foot and attack or wants to go for the sort of combo-y finish with the Dark Depths. Really interesting to see here, especially considering that Knight is going to be able to tutor up the other half of the combo very soon.
And that could be the plan. If you know your opponent is on Baleful Strix, which this is the alternative, but you could have tried to just beat the one Wasteland with the combo anyway.
Yeah.
And with your Wasteland, you can actually trigger your opponent into starting the action. Dealing with Underground Sea there is a more conservative approach. It goes for a much longer game rather than the instant.
And Blohon taking this opportunity to deploy 2 Baleful Strixes. That means one of them is going to definitely survive for at least a turn.
But is the Wasteland in play now or in hand? I think it's in hand.
The Wasteland in hand. The land this turn was a Misty Rainforest. So Wasteland, Polluted Delta, and Ancestral Vision in hand here for Blohon. As we reveal another Wasteland here to Dark Confident.
I think Martin could just go for the 2020.
He's taken 0 off that confidence so far.
He's been very fortunate.
Yeah, what goes around comes around, huh?
The thing is, sometimes you want to take some damage because spells generally have a higher impact on the game.
Yeah.
It actually scales with the casting cost.
Yeah, that's I never thought about it like that. That's a nice little thought there. How's Juza going to proceed here?
So, Dark Depths and Thespian Stage are the 2 cards that you need to create a 2020. And looking at the board, Martin has everything he needs. He knows that the Wasteland will be too slow, which makes Lukas's decision to tap out. I suppose Lukas knows that if he plays the Wasteland, Martin still has that play available where he wasteland his Wasteland, and so just decided to go for it anyway.
Here's a night activation, Thespian Stage here. And it's now going to be Dark Depth, so we can actually see this combo go off right here and right now. So Blohon, as a result of casting those 2 Baleful Strixes, we're going to see the Thespian Stage combo. Zimon, for some of our viewers who may not be aware of what's going on here, why don't you walk us through exactly what's happening?
Yes, the first thing that you have to know is that Dark Depths, the one that was played, comes into play with, I think it's ice counters.
Yeah, 10 of them.
And you can remove them by paying mana, but that's not how the combo works. You activate Thespian Stage to copy Dark Depths, which then you have 2 legendaries in play, 2 legendary Dark Depths. So you have to choose one of them to keep with the legend rule.
Mm-hmm.
You keep the one with 0 counters, and then it will... you'll have to sacrifice it. I wanted to say transform, which clearly is not the case. You'll have to sacrifice it. You'll get to sacrifice it, and you get a 2020 token out of the deal.
So we're having a look at what happened here, and there is the 2020 Marit Large token.
Which happens to be indestructible as well.
Indestructible flying, absolutely. Doesn't have haste. Very bad against Vapor Snag, but very good against more or less everything else. As it's indestructible, Abrupt Decay doesn't answer it. And Martin Juza really picking his moment there. Blohon wanting to deploy the two Baleful Strixes. But Marit Large, a flying indestructible 2020. Blohon really having to dig deep here to find some kind of an answer. There isn't a lot to do. No Chain of Vapors in his list. No Swords to Plowshares either.
He does have the Baleful Strix.
Yeah.
So
the
flying actually quite relevant.
So yes, Blohon can block it for 2 turns here off the backs of these Strixes. But I mean, normally one of the huge draws to the Baleful Strix is that the Baleful Strix always more or less trades with something after having drawn you a card, but not so here with this 2020. So I really like Martin Juza surgically picking his spot to get this Marit Large out.
Also, very nice play here by Blohon, who used his Sylvan Library to set up Shardless Agent. So you not only can you do it with Brainstorm, you can also do it with Sylvan Library.
So Shardless Agent cascading here into Ancestral Visions. You see another Visions in Blohon's hand.
Blohon might have brought in the edicts, Diabolic Edict.
I was looking at that. That's a possibility, but with the Bob and the Knight of the Reliquary, Blohon's going to have to do a little bit of work before it's going to take over 2020.
Toxic Deluge not good enough against Marit Large.
No.
But in this case, I think Blohon has a very straightforward game plan, and it's going to surround. I mean, is there a way to raise Marit Large maybe? With enough blockers.
See a Tarmogoyf. Blohon still with that Wasteland in hand here.
Punishing Fire should make racing very, very difficult.
Use it down to 8 now with the revealing of that Knight of the Reliquary. He's got a nice full hand.
I think we will see a double Punishing Fire to close out the game. Punishing Fire your Strix, buy it back, cast it again, and attack for 20. All that requires is 1 mana source and a Night Activation.
Night Activation, yeah. Knight of the Reliquary, another I mean, not just searching up toolbox lands, the Wastelands, Bajuka Bog, whatever else. It also very handily ramps you.
And here you can somewhat tell how difficult it is for somebody like Martin Juza, who is a very accomplished pro and regular at European and other GPs. But for him, Legacy is not his number one format, so he has to think through all these decisions the whole weekend. Yeah,
and it's very easy for us to sit here and call things from the booth as we've got access to all the information we need and that sort of thing. But Juza here, with a line that will win him the game, he's having to really think about things carefully to make sure it's going to work out the way he wants it to.
It's also about energy being spent on each of these rounds. So I would guess that Thomas Enevoldsen has an easier time playing through these rounds. As compared to somebody like Martin Juza.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we'll have a look and see how Juza's going to navigate this, because that punishing fire line is so tempting. And there we go. That's one of them. Buy it back. You gain one, go to 9, gain the other one, and that'll do it. There you go. Blohon recognises that the game is up. Martin Juza coming to the same conclusions that the good Dr. Simon Gertzen came to as well only moments beforehand. Speaks to the calibre of both of these men at the tournament. So, Simon, a great pleasure to have your company in the booth, but an even greater pleasure, my friends, to have your company wherever you are around the world. Exalted viewers all. It's great to be navigating these turgid waters of the Legacy format together, and we'd like to thank you for choosing to spend your weekend with us here in Prague in the Czech Republic. We're in a beautiful town. We've had rubbish weather, but apart from that, it's been a great weekend for everyone here.
Yes, Prague is amazing, and I think also this city is one of the reasons why we see so many people come here.
Absolutely. It's a great excuse for a weekend away, and I certainly enjoy jumping on the train from Berlin and travelling in statesman-esque style down here. As we move over now to our second match between Scott Daniels and Per Henriksson. These guys, Infect and Reanimator. Fair to say, Simon, these lists, not exactly tier 1.
No, at least not when it comes to popularity. I think Infect has the tools to be a very, very strong deck in Legacy, but also it's incredibly difficult to play. You need to be on top of your game with pretty much every decision. Reanimator may be a bit more, not one-dimensional, a bit more linear.
Yeah, we've talked about glass cannons, and it doesn't get any glassier or cannony than these guys.
On the other hand, this matchup, I think, is or can be very interesting, with Reanimator having a huge trump in Elishnorn, but Scott Daniels with Infect having access to Caracas.
Yeah.
So there's this really interesting interaction where you can save maybe your Infect creature with a pump spell, bounce Elishnorn, and then still win from what looked like a hopeless position.
Henriksson in a good spot there after having, well, in a better spot at least, after having destroyed that Grafdigger's Cage. That's a nightmare for any Reanimator player there. And let's have a look at his hand. Double Force, Brainstorm, Thoughtseize, Lotus Petal, and what looks like a Duress.
Exhume.
No, it's an Exhume.
Yeah, that's the reason why the Cage had to go. Now, Thoughtseize is another good way to clear the way, but with 3 blue cards in hand, you will only be able to force once.
We're going to see a Spell Pierce target that Exhume here. Henriksson has the option of forcing, and I think he's going to take it here. That Lotus Petal would have made that Spell Pierce a little worse, but as it is, it's going to be Force of Will.
Okay, maybe Henriksson has information about his opponent's hand, but not casting Lotus Petal or the Thoughtseize first is very surprising to me.
Double Spell Pierce as well, and yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out, because that Thoughtseize is more or less free at this point. You cast the Thoughtseize, you see the way is not clear, and then you just don't cast your Exhume. But as it is, 3 cards down against the 2 cards that Scott Daniels has deployed, and Henriksson is on 8 poison here, Simon.
With very few outs.
Yeah.
Because even if he gets back a Grizzlebrand, he doesn't necessarily find something to prevent him from dying. Thanks to Caracas.
I think his hand is not good enough to get him over the line here. So Scott Daniels takes it out 2-1. Congratulations to him. You can see him on the screen there. Happy, relieved. He'll be moving into round number 15 in a win and in here. We move back to table number 1 here for our final game, Simon.
And don't forget that everybody who goes X and 2 also qualifies for the Pro Tour.
Oh, of course, yes, absolutely. Something that'll be at the forefront of many of these players' minds as they move into round 15. Martin Juza kicking things off in style with a turn 1 Dark Confident. That was, of course, to his peril in the last game we had a chat with him, after he took 19 damage off them.
The only match he lost yesterday.
Yeah, is that right?
So We caught him in
a bad spot.
In the wrong moment.
Lukas Blohon opening things up with a Death Ride Shaman.
Very early brainstorm here.
Yeah.
But in a deck with Ancestral Vision and Shardless Agent, your brainstorms are not only there to filter out cards.
Yeah, that's a great point. They're also there to set up future turns, especially with Shardless Agent. But we do have a Polluted Delta here that's going to be able to shuffle away those cards that Blohon's not interested in. And he's an Abrupt Decay on the Dark Confidence. So Blohon, Juza boosting himself up with that Mox Diamond, but Blohon very quick to respond with 3 mana of his own. And
currently Juza is down a card from the Mox Diamond and hasn't gotten back the card he wanted to with the Confident.
And discarding lands, normally not such a liability for a deck that's playing Life from the Loam, but here, as we saw, the main deck graveyard hate of Old Mate Death Ride Shaman, Zimon, can be backbreaking for many decks.
I love this line of play. Just play second Wasteland, double waste you, and ask you how your land situation looks like.
Yeah. How is your land situation, Lukas, mate? How is it? Not so good right now. 1 Polluted Delta after a brainstorm off of that Death Ride Shaman. We see Blohon shuffle away a couple of cards with that Polluted Delta that he's got. So he'll be hoping to continue his mana development. The Death Ride Shaman definitely easing the pinch there, though.
Blohon actually not going for any kind of basics.
Really?
Well, he has a forest in his and a swamp in his deck list, but he opted not to fetch them. He wanted he realized that with his hand he needed blue mana sources, much more importantly than playing around Wasteland.
Yeah, it was some of the people I've spoken to who play Shardless Agent, some of the guys who were helping me learn a little bit about the format before this said that the way that Shardless Bug plays around Legacy, or plays around Wasteland, is just by ignoring it and hoping they don't have it. In many cases, the option isn't there. They don't have the luxury of searching out many basics.
Not in a matchup like this, where the blue spells are too relevant too early on. If you're playing against a deck with Blood Moon, for example, Miracles, where you know the game will go long and it's a completely different fight, then you might be in this position. Diabolic Edict now in hand for Blohon, so could be used to just deal with the Knight or a Confident, but could also deal with Marid La should that become relevant.
User now 3 mana, and it's going to be Liliana of the Veil. See what Blohon has to say about that. There is the option of casting Force of Will here. And it looks like Blohon has brought in those Diabolic Edicts. What are your thoughts there, Zimon?
Yes, I think it's a good choice in this matchup. You are happy to deal with Confident or Knight of the Reliquary.
Even in the face of Dryad Arbor?
Dryad Arbor is not the main concern here.
All right. Liliana of the Veil's not going to be sacrificing anything as she gets forced to the bin, thanks to that Baleful Strix being pitched to Force of Will. Card we're all intimately familiar with here, of course. Legacy GP defined by many of these cards. It was interesting to see the top played cards in Legacy, all of them blue. Brainstorm, Ponder, and Force of Will, of course, with Wasteland coming in at number 4. And we're going to see Life from the Loam here. Underground Sea, Bayou, and Verdant Catacombs coming back for Blohon. And that's a nice little anti-Wasteland package there too.
Very, very nice, yeah. So the Wasteland were only a temporary
setback
relief,
there,
a temporary setback. Juza, this reminds me already a little bit of Game 1, where his deck just failed to really show much. And he has already done a lot more than in Game 1 regarding the high impact spells. But it doesn't look like Blohon has any trouble dealing with Juza's threats.
Knight of the Reliquary here. I mean, Juza can pick his poison. What does he want? Liliana of the Veil, Abrupt Decay, even the Edict there. He's going to take care of it, but ultimately opting for the Abrupt Decay.
Now Juza does have the Dryad Arbor available. I would have liked Abrupt Decay as a backup against a card like maybe the Library, but it's all good.
Shardless Agent hitting Brainstorm here. as Blohon draws 3. He's still got that fetch land in hand, another one joining it as well. Looks like we'll shuffle away that underground C as he sculpts the hand that he wants. Double Tarmogoyf as well, hiding out there.
Basically building the perfect hand. He does have to fight through Mazovith, so his clock is going to be significantly slower.
Yeah.
But as long as Juza doesn't do anything, and you're the person with 4 or 3 high impact spells in double Tarmogoyf and Liliana, you are going to be happy.
Ancestral Vision, Underground Sea put back on top. Blohon can shuffle them away. Best place to have your Ancestral Vision on the deck, in your deck, if not on the stack. Ancestral Vision, not a new piece of technology in Legacy. Obviously, since it's unbanning in Modern, people have been flirting with it a little bit, but still, here is where it reigns supreme. See what Juza can find. He draws 2 with his Sylvan Library.
Green Sun's Zenith is really just another Knight of the Reliquary at this stage. But, yeah, I mean, Gadok clearly doesn't do anything. I don't assume it to still be in the deck. It's interesting how the 4-color Loam deck just plays a Gadok as a way to at least have a chance against some of the more unfair decks of the format.
Yeah, for sure. So Juza taking 4 as he draws 2 cards thanks to the Sylvan Library. Goes down to 16, joining Blohon on the same life total here. And it's 4 mana, and we're going to see, yeah, as you said, a Green Suns for 3. Knight of the Reliquary. Yeah, there we go. So Martin Juza needs to shuffle that Zenith back into his deck as well.
Yeah, and you see people who play a lot of Legacy, they will start
They
by
will
doing
automatically put it on the bottom of their library as they're searching. That's right, yeah. So Juza's unfamiliarity with the format may be a little bit more obvious than you might think. Even so, I mean, just on pure skill level, he's unparalleled. Let's have a look here. It's a Demonic Edict, Diabolic Edict, I should say. Teuflisches Edict.
Now the Catacomb does get dried out, but it's not a surprise play
No.
for Blohon.
Because now we've got another Liliana, another Edict, and that's going to take care of the Knight of the Reliquary. So Blohon emptying his opponent's side of the battlefield.
Yeah, but both players playing rather quickly here, so there's a lot of things happening at once. Liliana -2 the Knight away. Lukas is still resolving the fetch he needed to cast Liliana. Then he attempted to attack with the agent, but he has maybe he missed the Mazovith of Martin, or just wanted to confirm that he is aware of it.
Yeah.
So there was actually no combat damage being dealt.
Yeah, so you see there the agent being untapped as a result of Juza. I mean, sometimes, you play quickly, they're going to miss it, but no, not a man like Martin Juza. He's not going to miss something like that.
Also, these two are very good friends. So at least for me, there's a certain kind of good sportsmanship when you are playing quickly to finish the match.
And for me, that was reflected, and you'll see this again with Blohon. He will leave the revealed cards on the table for as long as he needs to.
Yeah.
These cards aren't going to be picked back up. You're just going to leave them there
until he plays a Brainstorm or something. Okay, in this case not, but we saw it earlier.
We've seen it earlier before. Juza writing down the cards at this opportunity here.
Now there's a Life from the Loam on the other side as well, and I have to say Life from the Loam is much stronger in the 4-color Loam deck than in the Shoutless Sultai deck.
Both of these players now sitting on they've got about 7 minutes to finish this match. Certainly doable for both of them.
Yes, absolutely. For both decks, the 16 life of Blohon is you can reduce with Knight of the Reliquary or Merit Lash. The 11 life of Juza, that's completely fine for Shoutless Agents, Baleful Strix, and of course Tarmogoyfs.
Blohon here is a Tarmogoyf and a Sylvan Library of his own. Choosing not to discard that final card to Liliana of the Veil. I mean, certainly Martin Juza in a good position to combat a discard every turn. He's got Life from the Loam, and he's happy to fill his graveyard with lands.
There's actually the problem of Mazovith, which does make it much more difficult for Blohon to win this damage race. It's not much of a race when one person is not attacking. But
and Swords to Plowshares as well is going to take care of that Tarmogoyf, so even just the 2 damage a turn from the agent has been nullified. Players currently discussing the exact location of some of these cards here. And it's going to be Juza now, after having cast Swords to Plowshares. Blohon back up to 20. And time will certainly be a factor for both of these guys here.
Yeah, it's also unfortunate that there seems to be another confusion going on.
It looks like it's the dredge replacement effect for drawing with Sylvan Library.
Okay, and this is where Sylvan Library is quite confusing.
Yeah.
Because you have to put back cards drawn that turn.
Yeah.
And
they're not drawing... the card Life from the Loam is not being drawn. So what will end up happening is the top 2 cards will be milled, or top 3 cards will be milled, will be dredged to the
because drawing your card is the first thing that happens during the draw step, being replaced by dredge.
Well, in this case, it's yes, because of the Sylvan Library, the 2 extra cards that will be drawn will be put back on top regardless. And I think what they're doing is figuring out the exact order, which cards will be drawn, which cards will be put into the bin. And the way that my greatly unprofessional understanding of it is that the first 3 cards on top of the library will be binned, and then the next 2 will be drawn and then put straight back on top.
Unless user wants to pay life.
Wants to pay life, of course.
Okay. I assume these players will get extra time.
Yeah, after this judge call, I imagine that's how it's going to happen.
Call. Mm-hmm. Do you have any intel on how the rest of the round is looking with regards to time left and the matches still ongoing?
It's looking like a very empty feature match area apart from these 2 blokes here. So I think round 14 will come to a close more or less as soon as Juza and Blohon are all done and dusted here.
It is... I'm not entirely sure, but with a tournament of this size, you are certainly not happy about going from X and 2, from 11-2 to 11-2-1.
No,
because for these 2 players with their 3 buys, the X and 2 record is usually generally enough for top 8.
Certainly, it's considered very, very safe.
Well, not for everyone in the tournament.
But as you say, for the people who have come in off 3 buys and not picked up their losses for a long time, the X and 2 thing is definitely where you want to be.
But interestingly, at a legacy tournament, there's also more draws, more natural draws, which does remove some points from the Swiss system, and can mean that it becomes a little bit easier to make top 8 with a lesser record or with a lesser tiebreaker.
So it looks like a judge has come to a decision here with what happens with Dredge and Sylvan Library. It'll be interesting to see if exactly how things pan out. A little bit of a lesson anyway. We'll learn the outcome of this here. Let's play on Magic Online, does it all for you. So here we go. 3 cards dredged, thanks to the Life from the Loam. 1, 2, and 3. And now the next 2 will be drawn. And then Martin Juza has the option for each of those cards to put them back or to pay 4 life. And we see that it is Thespian Stage and a Swords to Plowshares.
You knew it all along, Raleigh. Why are they asking?
No. They should have just called me over there. I would have sorted it out in 2 seconds, mate. I would have said, no, Marty, what are you doing, mate? Get it done. Here we go.
All your Australian authority.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there's a breeder, if there's a nation that's more authoritarian, I don't know who it is.
I have a guess, but let's leave it at that.
Running out of time here with this match. Certainly, better crack on here. As Juza considers his options with this Swords to Plowshares and his Thespian Stage, he's going to put at least 1 back. It seems.
Sylvan Library is such a tough card.
Yeah, it's like Brainstorm. Whenever you get to resolve it, it's just kind of like I'm never going to do this correctly. Looks like Martin Juza is going to take 4 to pick up this extra card here.
Opting to go for the Swords to Plowshares.
Now both players checking the life totals, making sure they're on the same page. As far as we're concerned, it's 20 to 19. Oh, sorry, 20 to 11. But it might be 20 to 9. Okay, both cards going back on top then. Juza not interested in paying more life. Fair enough, only on 9. And we're going to see the cycling of Baron Moore. Juza draws the Swords to Plowshares and casts it immediately. No messing around there. In comes the Dryad Arbor. Going to take care of that Liliana once and for all. So look at this. Both players without a lot of action, both having Sylvan Libraries. Blohon certainly favoured in the life department, Simon Gertzen.
But this was the reason why the Swords to Plowshares was so valuable.
Okay.
Dryad Arbor was suddenly able to get rid of Liliana. And it doesn't really matter if you sort a Shardless Agent or a Tarmogoyf, because Maze of Ith is the permanent answer to your opponent's biggest threat anyway.
Back to Blohon now. 3 cards off the top there. Ancestral Vision, a Shardless Agent. That's a really nice one, of course, because as we've mentioned before, Blohon can set it up so that Ancestral Vision is cast off of the Shardless Agent. He opts to draw them. Okay, here we go. So Shardless Agent's going to flip. Oh, 2 Ancestral Visions. Well, that would tell us why. There we go. So 3 cards now. And all of a sudden, Blohon with 5 cards in hand.
Yes, and I think here it wasn't so much about Lukas wanting to have the Ancestral Vision, but to get 1 card deeper into his deck.
Okay, that's a great point there, of course. And he's got life to spare. At 18 life, he's looking pretty good as he casts a Baleful Strix to draw his 5th card from the turn. And now a Deathrite Shaman as well. So it's back over to Juza.
What an intense game.
Yeah, man, this is really going right down to the wire once again here. Time's certainly the biggest opponent of both of these guys.
And now that the game has progressed so far, we see both decks basically doing what they want to be doing. Martin having the cycling lands with the Life from the Loam engine, and Blohon doing exactly what his deck is designed to do with Sylvan Library into Shardless Agent plus Ancestral Vision.
Yeah, so both of these players able to fire on all cylinders when it comes to enacting their games, their deck's game plan, and I think maybe relatively close on power level here.
Surprisingly, yes, but somehow keeping a tight balance of life and
loam
cards.
So Martin Juza this time drawing just the single card off the Sylvan Library. He's on 8. It's Life from the Loam once again. Going to get back Grove, Barren Moor, and a Verdant Catacombs. Nice inclusion Grove there, seeing as we've got a Punishing Fire in the bin.
Yes, which almost guarantees that Martin won't lose to what Blohon has. Blohon, does he have a Wasteland in his graveyard and a Life from the Loam? I know he has the Life from the Loam, so
I haven't seen the Wasteland.
Maze of Ith could be wastelanded at some point, so it's not a guaranteed card for Juza to rely on.
Blohon draws 3. Misty Rainforest is one of them. Oh, takes all of them. Look at that. What an absolute baller, going all the way down to 10. 8 life. He ain't give a damn. Draw 3 more cards. Look at that.
He wants to not only finish this game in time, but he also wants to play for a win here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He wants to get those last 8 points off of Martin. He also wants to make absolutely sure that he has all the tools to work with.
So Blohon down to 10 there with Martin Juza on 8. But Blohon with a full grip halfway through this brainstorm here. I wonder if time's been called, seeing as they've slowed down.
From Blohon's perspective, he can really only lose to the Dark Depths combo. And he even has an Edict and the Strix to survive it. But the Strix is not reliable with Punishing Fire being active now.
No, certainly not. And Juza will be able to buy that back each turn whenever he chooses. 3 mana, 0 cards, 2 damage. It's a nice little combo there. Another Baleful Strix, going to draw Blohon another card. It's a Force of Will. He's got double Force in his hand. In they come. We're going to see a Maze of Ith untapping the Shardless Agent and use it down to 7. Here's a Tarmogoyf. And a Deathrite Shaman. So Blohon really deploying the threats very aggressively here. And as you mentioned, Zimon, he's looking to close this game out.
All out aggro. Play everything I have. Just because, okay, you are doing impressive things, but they won't kill me. And that's pretty much the reason for these lines of play. But this is about winning the game, not about going to a draw. And
land off the top there. Forest and a scrubland and dark depths for Martin Juza.
Thespin Sages in the graveyard.
Oh, look at this. And a Life from the Loam in hand as well. So Juza with onboard answers to both of those Baleful Strixes. And this is turn 1. Yeah, I thought time might have been called last turn, seeing as Blohon's definitely slowed down a bit. Both of these guys playing at a really respectable clip, as you'd expect from players of this caliber. But once time is called, slowing down, taking time for their decisions, making sure they're going to give themselves the maximum opportunity to win here. And Simon, both of them can.
That's the best part. They are both playing for a win, and by doing so, also giving their opponent a bit more of a chance to emerge victorious.
Rather than just putting the shields up. The problem here for Juza is that the Deathrite Shaman is going to take care of that Punishing Fire, so it more or less has to be cast targeting that, and it's a force of will that meets the fire there.
I think Juza's problem is that he's restricted to one land drop a turn.
Yeah.
So getting without a Knight of the Reliquary in play, getting both combo pieces into play in the same turn is basically impossible.
Here is a Knight of the Reliquary. Maybe that's going to help him out a little bit.
But in this case, in this scenario, it's actually a downside to have the Dark Depths in your hand already.
Yeah, because you want it out of the library, of course. Here is Dark Depths. 10 ice count is going to be on that bad boy. 30 mana later. Woo! Get smashed for 20. Blohon, turn 2 for him. This is his second last turn here. He's going to have to conjure up something special in order to get over the line. Dismember, Wasteland. Oh, and a Wasteland there. Creeping Tar Pit also for Blohon. So I think the Dark Depths option might not work out for Juza here. Given the fact that I think that Punishing Fire is not going to last very much longer.
It is pretty difficult, though, to race against Knight of the Reliquary.
Blohon will do his best.
It's how strong is it? In the region of 10-10 maybe?
Yeah, a million I think.
Not quite. Maybe 7-7 only, because there have been some cards exiled from the graveyard.
I could see at least 7 lands. There may be some others hiding away there, but definitely 7. Oh, sorry, definitely 5 lands.
Definitely 7 power and 7 toughness on the Knight, which is enough to hold off most Tarmogoyfs. Even though there's also a Planeswalker in the graveyard.
Yeah, the Tarmogoyf here would be absolutely monstrous. I think the only one that's missing is Tribal. Oh no, there's no enchantment. So Blohon to 5, use it as 7. Keeping an extra card off of that Sylvan Library there, Blohon. It's his second last turn of this game, the third last turn of the round, I would say. Many players milling around here. I can see many anxious faces, hoping that things are going to work out and the breakers are going to fall their way as we move into round 15. Maze of Ith hits the bin thanks to the Wasteland that Blohon kept here.
Is he attacking with everything into the Knight?
The Knight, of course, can eat something up.
He has a Dismember, so that might be the plan. If Juza blocks the Tarmogoyf, which is the reasonable play, it is. I think it's an 8/8. So
the Knight,
I think, is an 8/8, and the Tarmogoyf has to be a 5/6 at least.
Tarmogoyf is a 6, at least a 6/7.
Because there's also artifacts in the graveyard.
There's artifacts thanks to the Baleful Strixes and the Shardless Agents.
I think Martin might be running into Blohon's trap here.
Yeah, Dismember on the Knight. Yeah, this is how it's going to. It's going to be how it pans out here.
Blohon might with his aggressive play might have found a way to basically discover victory somewhere.
Yeah, really interesting stuff to see here. Blohon does need to tap that mana for the Dismember here.
Yeah, he only put it aside. So
let's put it to one side there. Guess he's still considering which lands to tap. He wants to make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes at this late stage of the game. So there is the 3 mana for the Dismember. Which member, you say?
And now Punishing Fire out of the graveyard.
Yep. And Martin Hughes without an opportunity to respond to that. So
I think
away it goes.
Blohon is just ignoring the fact that there could be a 2020 coming and racing Martin, who...
So Martin has to have Dark Depths in the top 3, but even then he's
no, Dark Depths is in play. But
sorry, a Thespian Stage in the top 3, but even then there are 5 creatures on the battlefield on the other side.
He can get the Thespian Stage with Life from the Loam, but he just loses because the 2020 is
oh no, there's
not winning on this.
One copy, of course. Yeah.
It's not winning on this board.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look at that! A Life from the Loam. Oh, sorry, a Punishing Fire in the top 3 for Juza here. He's really considering very carefully how he wants to play this out.
Look at how exact this works out. Punishing Fire can deal with Deathrite Shaman, and you can Life from the Loam back your Thespian Stage, but also your Mazavith to prevent the Tarmogoyf from damaging you.
Yeah.
And then you still need another Punishing Fire, for example, on the Shardless Agent to survive the turn. Does he have the mana to do this? 5, 7 mana? No, he only has 6 in play.
Yeah, the Dark Depth's not producing any mana, of course.
I think he's losing because this turn he doesn't have 1 additional mana.
1 extra mana would get him there. Looks like he's considering a Life from the Loam here. Man, this is really complex stuff.
Also, he's at the same time almost has Blohon dead.
Yeah, it's so close
with
here.
Double Punishing Fire. Dealing 3, of course, only, but still...
Mazavith in the bin somehow? I've missed something here. Life from the Loam was cast. Here they are. Yes, okay. So Juza now. It's Punishing Fire.
Yes, and Juza also realizing that he will be 1 mana short.
On the Deathrite Shaman, away it goes. Yes, 1 more mana would have made a very big difference here for Juza. Thespian Stage comes down. But it's not enough, so there we go, a concession from Martin Juza, and Lukas Blohon doing really well there, getting it in a very, very aggressive posture to take things home for Team Rock and Roll at the end of round number 14. Super impressive stuff there. Once again, Shardless Sultai really showing its colours, Zimon.
Absolutely.
Really good stuff. That's going to do it for round number 14. More Legacy coming your way from GP Prague very soon, so stick around. We'll catch up with you very shortly.
Ultra Pro is the place to go for all your Magic accessories. With card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios showing off the best Magic art, Ultra Pro is the standard and safe storage. Visit ultrapro.com for more information. Discover Legacy with Magic Online and the Legacy Gauntlet. Assemble your Legacy deck with Eternal Masters events. Conquer the Legacy Festival Championship. For more information on the Magic Online Legacy celebration, visit mtgo.com.
Wowzers, trousers.